So the main contents of my presentation are a brief introduction about what is inclusion and exclusion, and what is the role of design about inclusion and exclusion. That is a not so one sense role. Design is both useful for inclusion and both useful for exclusion. And sometimes inclusion and exclusion are self-conscious. The designer is aware of what he's doing, and sometimes he is not. And the main point is to have a clear idea about inclusion and exclusion, to make choices when you design something, anything, with the purpose of being inclusive or exclusive. And it's not given for granted, the result. You see, it's a complex question. The main thing is that inclusion and exclusion are not just a characteristics of design activities. They are embedded in life itself. All the evolution of life shapes is based on inclusion and exclusion. You know, for example, why the apples are red or yellow sometimes. It's because they wait for the moment that the seeds are ready for planting. Now, all the apples start green, the same color of leaves, not to be visible easily for the animals. And as soon as the seeds are ready, they become red or yellow, in contrast with the color of leaves, to signal they can be eaten. And that the tree is well-intentioned to give gift in food for all the animals, for the big animals it prefers, to make seeds move away, far away from the tree. And so exclusion is used by the tree to prevent animals to eat the apples too early. And the aid of the apples are a way of exclusion for the small animals to prefer, to make a preference for the big animals, because they are able to take the apples more farther than the small ones. As you can see, horses are welcome to eat apples because they can take the seeds very far from the tree. The same happens in all the environments. When the resources are scarce, as in savanna in Africa, trees are not so keen to share the fruits with all the animals, and they make long branches, very high branches, to avoid animals eating their leaves. But giraffe developed a design solution that is a long neck to reach even the highest leaves. And so the acacias developed spikes that are very acuminate, very long, very strong. And by the other way, the giraffe developed a very strong tongue to be able to look for the leaves between the spines. So it's a continuous design activity in life to develop instruments, tools, solutions to protect resources using exclusion, and to develop solutions for ourselves to reach other resources inclusive for us. So inclusion and exclusion is the main strategic way all the life forms in our planet, they use it to protect or reach resources. And we must accept this. Inclusion and exclusion and exclusion in most cases is the rule of life. We are very peculiar animals because we can not only use our body like these guys does to reach fruits, to reach resources, but we are able to create tools to reach resources. And we are the unique animals that can do it not only for ourselves, but we can teach our other men to use the same strategies. So when you develop something for yourself, you are developing for humanity. And every time you find a solution, this solution creates a cause of inclusion or exclusion. For example, ladders are a way to reach fruits, but not everybody can use it. So if you are an old person, if you have mobility impairments or other weaknesses, you can't use ladder. So to reach fruits, you must be confident that someone else will help you. And if you belong to the same society, it may happen. If you don't belong to the same society, to the same community, it could not happen. And this creates a peculiar case of inclusion and exclusion about teaching the other people, making a common shared knowledge about our way to access to resources or not. And deciding to share the knowledge or not is a way of exclusion. So let's talk about accessibility. Now, we access to resources, okay, so it's clear. Design is a peculiar activity, as we said, for humankind. And we are able to develop solutions that do not exist in a peculiar shape in nature. We create artificial new shapes of accessing to resources and make it with the application of creativity, whatever it means. It is not easy to give a definition of creativity, but it's our peculiarity, is our ability of creating new forms of existence, new forms of everything. At this point, we can also create new forms of life through genetic manipulation. Also, genetic manipulation is a kind of design. We apply our ability to create new shapes to make something new, some new strategies to make life easier or more successful for different purposes for other humans. And we call it innovation. Now, making new shapes of strategies, processes, products, and whatever technologies to achieve access to resources, we call it innovation. Innovation in the first instance is giving shapes to tools, mimicking strategies that are already existent, or creating something completely new. This is a tool for harvesting fruits in Italy, especially olives, for mass production, and it's a tree shaker. You shake the tree and collect everything that falls from the branches. Once to harvest all the olives on a tree required a couple of men working for 8 hours, and now you can do it without a man, using just a driver in a couple of minutes. You understand it makes a big difference in cost of food harvesting, and it is a big tools for inclusion to food for the society, for the community that owns this technology, and is a huge cause of exclusion for the communities that do not have it, because they are obliged to spend more time and more human energies to make the same result. So what is designing for inclusion and designing for exclusion? Since from the first moment humans have applied their creativity to create solutions, they have both used it for include or exclude other humans or other life species to resources. For example, when we make canned vegetables, we are protecting the vegetables from natural degradation, and we prolong the time of consuming even after the natural season. But what we are really doing is excluding bacteria from reaching the fruits that we want to eat. You can see a canned vegetable as a tool for excluding other life forms from consuming our food resources. And when we make a cage for the chickens, we do the same. We are trying to exclude foxes and other predators from eating our chicken. And when we make walls around villages, we are protecting our resources from other humans. And when we make walls able to resist to cannons, this is a fortress in India, when they started trying to defend themselves from the British Army. And we do the same. We are trying to protect our resources from other humans that are in intention to use every technology that they have to steal our resources. Design is a tool that is crucial in every war between humans. We must be aware of it. And then we see something like this. This is the wall of wire, electric wire around the Auschwitz concentration camp in Poland. And it's not conceived to protect any resource. It is conceived to limit the freedom of humans by other humans, with the purpose of annihilating them. And we must reflect about this. No? How much a human designer can push the exclusion while he's looking for a way to annihilate another human. So design has a huge responsibility, no? In both ways, inclusion and exclusion. And we must be aware of it when we teach design. This is another example. It fell down in 1989, but for a long time divided a country, divided a town of people that perceive to belong to each other, now being the same community for political reasons. And now this is another war that is causing a huge pain for a lot of people. This is the Gaza boundaries. That separate the Palestinian from the Israeli. And I know, because I have a lot of Palestinian and Israeli friends, that they do not agree with the political choices of their representatives. And however, there is this huge separation, and people are using every kind of technological advance to keep it and making it more effective exclusion is based on design, even in this case. When we go to the market, exclusion is also a way to make potential customers desire more an object, a product. Sometimes exclusion, that the word exclusive, is typical of the market strategy. We all wish to belong to the most powerful minority of the society. And products may become a symbol of these belongings. And we arrive to design objects that have no other function than make us perceive ourselves as belonging to the more powerful, refined, cultural, advanced minority of the society. For example, this, you know, all you are design teachers, and you know this object. No, it was one of the bestseller products for a long time as a lemon squeezer that could not be used as a lemon squeezer because it's not usable. Now there are lots of lemon squeezers that are more practical and more effective and less expensive, and they sold thousands and thousands, maybe millions of these objects just for a cultural reason, because people wanted to have an argument of conversation demonstrating they belong to the most culturally advanced part of the society. Woody Allen said that contemporary art survives thanks to the sense of guilt of the people that do not understand it. And I think it's true. Even an object like this has nothing to do with the usual reason of desirability of a design product. It's just a matter of self-esteem, improving your self-esteem, and the sense of envy that you could instigate in the people that come to your house. And we must reflect about this. Exclusion is a powerful way to sell products. This is another kind of design intention application. In a big part of Africa, especially in the Horn of Africa, is water providing is a very tough problem. That is usually a task for women. They can make kilometers every morning using every kind of container to take water from the wells to their house. And the traditional way is this one: you have a bucket, you put it up on your head and walk. And if you stumble and fall during the way, you have lost everything. And if you do it every morning for years, your neck and your spine will be rotten in a very short time. So two South African designers, maybe you know this project, it's called the Hippo, created this kind of container that is rollable, and even a child can push or pull it safely without running the risk of hurting himself and losing the content. And it's a nice way to solve the problem. I don't know if you can see the cause of exclusion that also this solution implies. To make this, you must have a plastic transformation plant. So you must have the technology to create polymers and to heat it and to mold it in shapes that are not so easy to make. And especially if some one of these objects breaks, you are not able to repair it. So you are solving a problem, creating an addiction, a technological addiction to a technology that you do not belong. There's a kind of colonization as well. Yeah, you are making the life for these people easier, but you are not providing them with a real tool that is knowledge and technology that could make them free from this slavery. And it is an issue. No, we must make a reflection about that. This is another design example that, from one way, from one point of view, is creating inclusion to a resource that is water. By the other hand, is creating exclusion because it's creating a dependency, an addiction to a technology, a knowledge that you do not possess. Maybe you know the ICF. The ICF is a publication from the WHO, and it's a catalog of all the human activities that can be possibly conceived. They have tried to enumerate it and classify it. And it's useful to understand how much the environment you are living in is enabling or disabling you about some kind of activities. The point is that what you are able to do in your environment is, of course, connected to your ability, personal abilities that are physical and intellectual and cultural abilities, but also by contextual factors. There are environments that are supportive and can make you more able to perform the activity you would like to perform, even if you are an health condition or a dysfunction in your body and structure, or you have a limited education, a limited culture, because the environment provides instruments to support you in your weakness. On the other hand, there are environments that not only do not support you, but also create obstacles to your ability to perform activities. And so the fact that you are able or not able to perform an activity could also depend on the environment you live in. For example, having a subtitle automatic system like the one we are using now for this communication can enable you, if you are even if you are if you have an hearing disease, to understand what, for example, a movie is at the television is presenting. You can follow the dialogues, you can listen even to rumors, environmental rumors in the movie, because there are subtitles that help you. If you have not access to this technology, if your state or your broadcasting company do not provide it, you keep on being deaf, and you can only see movies and not listen to them. This is another kind of exclusion that is unintentional. This is a metro station in Naples, in Italy, that has been designed by a designer that maybe you know, Karim Rashid, that became famous during the 90s because he was a DJ, a very famous DJ in London, and he made wonderful parties. And his parties were wonderful also because the scenography he was able to create. And every creation of Karim Rashid is connected to this kind of disco party atmosphere. And I am happy for that. I like the work of Karim Rashid when it deals with private choices. But he was invited by the Naples authorities to design a public space like a metro station. And he applied his style. It's a celebration of itself, of himself. It is very clearly distinguishable, his style in every part of the station. And it resembles a bit a discotheque. The only problem is that if you have a visual impairment, not only a severe visual impairment, if you just have partially blind or you have astigmatic problems, for example, and you are sensitive to light, when you are in an environment like this one, this environment becomes dangerous to you, because you are made blind by the high contrast of illumination and you cannot see very well the stairs. And if you look at the reflection of the walls, you cannot distinguish horizontal and vertical walls, surfaces. And it becomes very dangerous for the orientation and for your personal safety. Look for example, at this kind of stairs where you have also a trampoline on the vertical part of the steps that create another obstacle, and all the mirror walls that are around and the pattern on the floor that create a huge rumor, visual rumor, and make very hard even for a good sight person. For a person that is very good at, has no problem with the vision, has no vision impairments, to distinguish vertical and horizontal surfaces. I think that when something like this happens, we are in front of a very severe social issue. We are spending money, public money, to create a public space that is by itself exclusive. Then prevent people, a huge part of the society, elderly people that are usually visually impaired, even if not severely. I am 57 and I have visual impairments. I need to have glasses. I do not consider myself old, not yet. But I would have problem in this kind of metro station. And I think it's not acceptable that a society, authorities leading a community, prefer making something that is culturally and from the point of communication have a good impact than something that is useful and accessible to the world community. There's another kind of responsibility that we as design teachers should make clear to designers, students. There is a responsibility. Everything has consequences in the real life. Whenever you make an object, a product, a system, a service, an environment, an ambient, a space, you are conditioning and the more people use your design, the higher is your responsibility about that. That's a nightmare, because one of the most powerful men in the world. And when you are talking about him from a design point of view, usually we use this symbol that do not explain in any way the complexity of the man and all the potential he has. It's easier for people to think about disability like a stigma, a clear definition. It makes people more confident about their behavior, the kind they should manage a situation like this. As a designer, we do not accept it. No, we should not accept it. We should not look at disability as an exceptional condition, because we all have impairments during our life, different abilities, different grade of performance, and even for an accident, for example, something falls in your eye and you become partially blind for a couple of minutes. You stumble and you hurt your knees and you become motion impaired for a couple of hours, one day, a week, couple of months. And if your environment is not conceived to be inclusive for visual impairments, mobility impairments, then you are condemned to be excluded for the time you have reduced mobility or ability to see. We are talking about an issue that the work community has been aware in the last 50 years. And since 20 years, we have the United Nations organization that has sponsored the program about sustainable development goals to give all the world governments a guideline to development to create sustainable societies. And one of the topics of the sustainable development goal is education. And you can see for a sustainable education, inclusion and equitable quality are considered a must. Human-centered design is maybe we consider this the intention, the aim of every design process, but I have shown you that is not true. Not all the design processes are intended to strengthen peoples, to empower people. Many of design activities create exclusion. Many of design activities are intended to create diminishing of the power of people. So when we are in intention to use all our knowledge to create designs that empower people, make people more able to perform their activities, we are talking about human-centered design. And for doing this, we must consider diversity and the different levels of cognitive and physical attributes of people, and reducing the amount of knowledge and physical functions, or obviously increase the inclusion of people into the use of the design we are doing. So human-centered design is the key methodology for creating and supporting environments. That means, according to the ICF, an environment that make you able to perform more activities in the number of potential activities you could perform in your life. This is a proposal by Sanders, about the different kind of approach to human access, One is based on the difference between design-led and research-led, when we call it the research-led, and two kinds of mindset: the expert mindset and the participatory mindset. The expert mindset is based on observation. You observe people, trying to understand them, and then provide solution. The participatory mindset, you involve people in the design process. You are not simply looking at them, observing them. You are making them able to create solutions. And there are these are two kinds of approach. I don't say one is better than another. It depends on the purpose of your design. For example, when you are creating something that is very specific and very effective for safety reasons, for productivity reasons, for example, in the industry sector, maybe the expert mindset is better. When you are dealing with more social issues, more issues that are more socially oriented, probably the participatory mindset is better. So it's a good idea to understand what are the limits of the different kind of methodologies and approach, to choose the right mix to apply to your design according to the context and the motivation that you are designing for. For a long time, we have believed in standards, because standards are a good way to reduce the complexity and the cost of a project. Using sizes, for example, is a good way to make dresses affordable for everyone, but are also a way to stigmatize people, to exclude people, even from a cultural point of view, because if you do not correspond to the most common standards, then you are considered a diverse person, a person with a disability, even if you don't have any. And the problem with standards is that when they work easily for production, they can have serious cultural consequences and in cultural issues in society. For example, you look at this kitchen, it is based on standards and looks very good looking and welcoming. If you don't consider it could be used by kids. As you can see, there are no surfaces or horizontal surfaces that are reachable by kids. And this implicates the fact that kids will not participate to the food preparation, will not see food preparation until they are teenagers. And it has consequences with their relationship with food, their cultural relationship with food. This is another kind of kitchen. This is a Minotti kitchen. And it's not made for food production. It's made for representation reasons. And it's good for some kind of person. But for people, for example, that are visually impaired, it's a nightmare. And this is a fully accessible kitchen that is that was made in a disabled social community in England. That is where all the surfaces are reachable, even from people on wheelchair, and is so ugly and so punitive and so aesthetically rude that no one would desire to prepare his food in this kitchen. And also, beauty is is part of the quality of life. And making things effective when they have also a social purpose is also a responsibility of design. Well, this is another example of kitchen made by Lucci e Orlandini for Snyder that was conceived to be accessible for people on a wheelchair, that became a success, a commercial success, because it is so easy to use, even if you are seated. That represent a commodity for everyone. So there are possibilities to enlarge the base of users for a design, considering different perspective and trying to be less demanding on physical and cultural and cognitive ability, and being more tolerant for the weaknesses of the users. There are different kinds of human-centered approaches that have been developing in different regions of the world, and they have had more or less success, and has been able to spread more or less through the countries. And I will present you the three most important ones. The first one is universal design, that was developed in USA during the 70s in North Carolina University, for the precision. That has the expert mindset approach. It's based on observation, and it's based on 7 principles that are very clear stated in the methodology statement. And also the way to check whether your design is universally compatible is based on a checklist that is very procedural. And it's very good, for example, for the design made by people that are not socially concerned, because it makes them aware of all the factors that could influence the accessibility of what they are designing. For example, one principle is fair use. Then there are 7 principles. I will show you every one. Fair use: the design is useful and marketable for people with different abilities. It means doesn't matter if you are more able or less able. We should do what we can to reduce the ability required for using a product. Make use this example that is ironically applied in a Museum of Modern Art in America and the United States. You can see hand dryer put at different age to make people, even children, able to dry their hands. Doesn't matter how old they are. It's ironical, but it's also usable. As you can see, you can choose the age of your hand dryer. There are no difference with if you are a kid or a giant. Flexibility of use: the design is able to cater to a wide range of individual preferences and abilities. Flexibility is a very powerful strategy. Adaptation: if your design is made to adapt to the characteristics of people, it can be easily used by a largest number of persons. This is I don't know if you know it. This is a glass made by Gio Colombo, that was a famous designer. That was a poker player, an alcoholic, and a smoker, a cigar smoker. And he was disappointed by the tumblers for whiskey, because he couldn't smoke and play cards at the same time while he was drinking. So he developed this that is usable even while you are smoking and holding the card with the other hand. And it's also beautiful. No, I don't know if you agree with me. It's also beautiful, and it's the best glass you can give to a person that has a grabbing impairment. No, if a person that cannot grab properly because they have arthritis or something, some other issues for holding something in the hand, everybody is good at using this glass. Because it was conceived for a vicious person, it is also usable from impaired persons. So there is a peculiarity in flexibility that is very very inclusive, because it makes no difference why you are using this object, because it is flexible. It is suitable for you, even if you are a person with disability or a person that has a vice, and it makes no difference, no ethical difference. No, there is no difference between the two kinds of users. Simple and intuitive use. For example, when you have a technology paradigm switch, as it happened when the first iPod appeared on the market, when you must make people aware that they can access a potentially infinite catalog of music. That was the first time during the 90s when it happened for the first time. And you must teach them how to scroll in a menu. We had not seen it before. And Jonathan Ive, the designer of Apple at that time, developed a system that mimicked a tool that all the persons, the adult persons in the world knew. That was the knob for increasing the volume in a radio or selecting a channel on the frequency bar, and mimicked in the circular touchpad that was at the base of the screen, and everybody understood the system because it was mimicking something they already knew in a different form. So being able to make something, we also use the term affordance. When you see something, you know how to use it, even if it is the first time you see it, because it resembles, recalls in your mind, in your limbic system, something that you already know how to use. Perceptual information, of course, you must perceive something to use it, and perception can be limited by your physical condition, but also by the environment condition. For example, when you are I have designed a lot of radio and communication equipment in my life, and once I had to make something for Aramco, that is the Arabian petrol company, that could be used even under an oil rain. You are submerged by oil and should be able to make a phone call. And the point is that you think you make a call selecting the number using a keyboard under an oil rain. I assure you it's not possible. So if you make a radio for this purpose using a keyboard, it will not be used by people that radio is designed for. So the strategies for making the information perceptible is using different media, if different senses provide through different channels, for example, to maximize the readability. For example, this is a label for a wine that is both in visual graphics and in braille graphics, because it's made on thermoplastic paper that can be printed also with a braille information. Of course, the braille information is less precise, but gives all the essential information even for a blind person. Oh, then fault tolerance, being forgiving for the errors made by the users. If you are able to create something that is usable, even if the user make errors during the learning process, you will make his life much easier. That is the reason why violin is so hard to master, and the guitar is not, because violin has not the bars that interrupt, that define the precise point where the string change is making the right note, and the guitar has. You can put the finger everywhere between the two bars, and the note performed by the string will be always the same. Instead, in the violin, if you miss the point by 1 millimeter, you will make a different note. And that is also the reason why it's so hard to learn violin playing, but also violin is allowing the player to intentionally force a false note to increase the emotion during a concerto. In the guitar, it's more difficult. You have to force to move the string through pushing them. Otherwise, even if you are not precise in the place where you're pushing your finger, the note will be correct. Low physical exertion. This is an handle that allow people open the door even if they cannot use the hands or they are very weak, because there are two different leverage points and two different leverage lengths. You can open it even if you're a kid or a very small person, and you can open it also with your ankle, using the side of your ankle instead of the hands. And it's also pretty beautiful. Size and approach, you must provide flexibility in the size of the space around the object, or the dimension of the object, according to the different kind of body and mobility and ability to move of the people, or the different people that are going to use this object. This is, for example, a desk and a chair that can follow the different size and position of a growing child. Okay, I give you an example of something that I've done. It was in 2008. It was a consortium of university and industries that defined the layout of the new European trains, on which were based all the trains that were using all over Europe during this period, because all the producers were part of the group. It was an European project that was called Modeling, and I was responsible for the development of the design of the accessible coach and the system. And I, for example, developed the toilet that you can find in all the accessible coach of all the European trains. And it was based on this concept. Linea Guida was my design company at the time. We created this this door that is rolling around a circular shape that you must have seen in all the European trains. The basin was without any kind of tube or pipe to allow people being able also in a wheelchair to approach it and not not troubles about water while washing their hands and so on. There were space for the wheels of the chair when approaching to the different tools you have the possibility to use in a toilet and so on. We made it using the universal design. That means it is a project based on the observation and observation of people using normal toilets, disabled toilets, and also after making the first prototypes using people with different abilities and dysfunctions using our prototypes. As you can see, there are different handles and bars and buttons or at different aids to provide the flexibility in use. And this is the last prototype that were used by a lot of representatives of disabled categories. And you can see there are different levels of illumination to create a contrast on the surfaces to make people, for visually impaired person, to understand better the shape they are working with. The mirror is as an inclination towards the users that makes possible, even if you're standing or you're in a wheelchair, to watch yourself. The bars are at different aids and signal it. The bar at the high height that could be dangerous has been embedded in the wall, making a depression in the wall to make it reachable. The contrast of the bar signal it. And you also have alarm buttons on the floor level, because if you fall down on the floor, you can call for alarm even if you are not able anymore to stand up. Then it was the prototype, the working prototype of the toilet and of all the coach. I was also responsible for the security system, safety system, and information system. As you can see, also the floor is used to clarify where the different point of views are on the toilet, and these are the phases of the prototype check with different kind of dysfunction and tools and devices for people with special necessities. I can say it had a satisfaction rate of 95%. That is pretty huge, and many of the solutions of this prototype you can find on the toilets, accessible toilets on the coach of the Eurotrains, Alstom, Bombardier, and all the other producers. I said it was made with the approach of the universal design because people were not involved in the design. They only were interviewed before designing and then asked to check the different prototypes to have a feedback, but they were not involved in the design phase. The design for all and the inclusive design are two different approaches. Design for all was developed in the Scandinavian countries during the 80s. And as a different approach. It's based on involving people in an holistic approach to empower their ability to be creative and develop solutions for themselves. So design for all is a more complicated to develop design methodology, because involve people at every phase of the design process, not only in focus group or in interviewing them, but also making them able to participate to the design development. And forces the participation of all the stakeholders also. So you have designing groups that work together in a huge number. Sometimes I had 40 person, 50 person working together to develop a project with different kind of backgrounds, technological knowledge, cultural, social background. And it's very hard to make everyone cooperate and avoid misunderstandings and communication issues. Inclusive design is a methodology that has been developed in Great Britain and United Kingdom, and the purpose is the same of all the inclusive methodologies, but the strategy is marketing. The strategy is to, through a process of confrontation, dialectic, and marketing, to find the best compromise to enlarge as much as possible according to the economic requirements of user platform. Co-design approach is in the compass about human-centered design. Co-design is in the field of participatory design, and can be used in all the three approaches that we have seen before. It is mostly used in design for all approach. What is the reason for people-centered innovation, eco-design? Co-design allows a designer to learn from diversity, because it's not just based on observation, it's based on participation. And you totally involve the users and also the stakeholders at every design stage. And no one is more important than another one. And during the phase of development of the design, if the co-design process is well driven, you can have a point of view on the issues that is very original, holistic, and peculiar. And you can be aware of many more nuances, characteristics of the issue that you are studying that otherwise you cannot discover through a simple interview or observation. It's an interactive activity, and it's based on fast prototyping, making people able to develop solution and test it immediately. It shares with the design thinking the fail fast approach. Make a lot of solution and make it fail as soon as possible to understand what is the best way to make the highest number of users included in your design. This is a diagram that make a clear understanding of what are the levels of participation according to the interaction models, the professional attitude, the consumer attitude, the knowledge flow, and the objective. Of course, the first one, paternalistic, is the expert approach. I know what is best for you. You don't know what is best for you because you are inside the problem and you cannot see. And the collaborative decision making is the most inclusive one. I put you user, you customer, in the position of telling me what to do. And I'm not providing the solution for your problem. I empower you as a user to develop yourself a solution that is best for you. A co-design process is a knowledge-based process because it is intended not to develop the most effective solution, but the best, the most flexible solution that could be shareable from the highest number of involved people in the process. And it's based on mutual learning. Sometimes the needs of the different people that you involve in the design process are challenging each other, are fighting each other. The need of the blind person can appear opposite to the need of a deaf person. And sometimes during the design process, there will be fights between different users that are trying to understand each other. If you are a good co-design manager, you make people understand the different point of views, put themselves in the shoes of the other people. You must create a space of confrontation and of testing the different necessities and approaches to the problem, so that everyone becomes aware of the complexity of the problem and also understands why you need to have a highest level of flexibility in your design. This is an example of what we did during an European funded project about the autonomies of the elderly people, creating an house environment for elderly people that can make them more autonomous by themselves. I told you the average age of global population is increasing, and it's becoming a problem also for the economic expense of the health system of every state government. And during a co-design process, something like this happens. This is a person that was involved in the co-design since from the first phase. As you can see, is an old lady, but she was so sensitive and so cooperating that at some point of the process told this. We were developing a system based on the artificial intelligence to prevent needs of the people and giving them solutions for being more autonomous. And she said this phrase, this sentence: automatic systems are good, but in the end I feel bad because you can thank them. You can say thank you. And you understand, the point is dignity. It's not just being effective in being autonomous, but preserving my personal dignity. And saying thank you, I owe some, is a way to recognize that I'm indebted to you, and as soon as I can, I will do something for you. And being completely passive in receiving help is not respecting the dignity of people. And it was a window opening in my vision of the problem, and I became aware that dignity was a big issue, and all the project was based on preserving dignity of people while being supported in being autonomous. So we developed a set of devices driven and managed by an artificial intelligence, and we created a lot of co-design workshop with not only elderly people, but also caregivers and professional caregivers like doctors and so on, in an environment like this one. There were different tables. For each table, there was a designer, a co-designer manager. And on the table, as you can see, there is a lot of stuff to make prototypes and to design ideas. And for each table, we try to understand the different kind of the problem. But at every table, there were elderly people, caregiver, family caregivers or formal caregivers, and medics, doctors, and so on. During confrontation, not everybody is cooperative. For example, the person that I am talking to, it was an old man that said, I am already autonomous. I don't need anything. I don't want any kind of stuff in my house. I don't want nothing. So the point is not convincing him that he needs something. The point is to understand why he has this kind of attitude. If he had any problem with the automatic system, if he is not confident in technology, what is the reason? What kind of technology he is confident in? What does he think is useful for him? And sometimes interacting with people like this is an issue because they are not cooperative. But the dialectic approach implies also that you have to deal with different attitudes. And if you are not empathic, if you take it personally, it is a problem, because during co-design, being empathic and welcoming also when you find difficulties and unlikable approach, you must find a way to face it and integrate it in the process. Developing prototypes is the main part of the co-design process. A testable prototype, even rough prototypes, it's not necessary in the first phase that they are beautiful or they are perfect, because you want to fail fast to understand if you are taking a wrong way immediately, as soon as possible. And in this kind, for example, we were trying to find the best shape for a chair that was able to understand if you had some posture issues that could affect your back pain and so on. Or the best way to put a wearable system to detect position of the person in a house. This is a way you facilitate the process. You collect the ideas, for example, with post-notes, and you drew sketches while people are talking to make everyone aware of what we are talking about and verify if there is a shape that of the solution that everybody could agree about. So you are a facilitator, not anymore a designer. No? You are working at the service of people and not giving your ideas to people. Again, prototypes. In this case, we are testing interface prototypes, and we make in the real size that are readable and usable for people like this. So we are not using smartphones, we are using larger screens, and we do it on paper. And we also use cards, for example, to make people able to modify the icons immediately without using graphic tools. And the next step, put it physically in the position. We decided to use an interface that was placed on the wall, and that was usable also by traditional instruments like pen and pencils, or through the smartphone, or to the touch screen. And keep on experimenting prototypes. This is the position detecting system that could prevent falls for the elderly people. This is the wearable system that was defined at the end. And at the end, we created working prototypes, refining prototypes based on all the error and issues that we have done until now, and created a lab, a living lab, with an apartment with all the devices that were working and testable, and made people use it without saying anything, without any explanation, to see how they reacted to the object, what was the affordance of the object, if you could understand it immediately without having any kind of teaching or learning period. And we got the results of the observation, and also the feedback from all the devices that were tested. Afterwards, we put it in a fair that was in Bologna, and made people occasionally visited the site to test the system as well. And all the feedback, this is the final chair with the posture monitoring system, which is the positioning system, this is the wearable device, and so on. So the difference between the expert mindset and the participatory mindset in co-design is that you involve people. You don't design for users, you design with them. And the benefits are this. You increase the identification of needs. You make it, because you have a voice of people that are included in the project and becomes aware of the problem during the process development. You increase the awareness, the global awareness of all the stakeholders that are included. And sometimes you have decision makers in the stakeholders that assume a new perception of the problem and change their attitude and their participation, and the motivation of and the commitment of their participation to the project, and it can switch the possibility of success of a project. The opportunities of discussion do not only include the topics that you considered important at the beginning of the project. You also become aware that there are topics that you did not consider before you started. And for example, for our purpose about designing a teaching process that is inclusive, being aware of the peculiar necessities of your audience, not only through an interview, because at the first time in an interview, many of the answers are not sincere. Many of the answers are motivated by the fears and shyness of people, and can be influenced by contextual factors and so on. In a co-design process that develop a good period of time, this cause of trustability, lack of trustability are cancelled, and the findings are more genuine and motivated. And it's not an easy process, of course. It requires also some kind of natural issues, soft issues, natural skills, soft skills that not everyone is able to have. And also the self-esteem of the designer is challenged because he's not an author anymore. No, he's a kind of an enhancer and a facilitator, and he's not the only author of the project. But when you are facing inclusion problems, I don't think it's so important. And not everybody is empathic, but the co-design process requires a team, because you have to perform a lot of works, make the prototypes, making the sketches, taking notes, documenting everything. So in a group of 5 or 6 persons that work in a co-design process, only one, the facilitator, must have empathic soft skills. All the other ones can be professionals and not empathic. So the role playing is a method that is important in co-designing an inclusive design process. I told you a lot of things. You never interrupted me, because I hope it was because it was all clear. But I think I give you a lot of some bibliography also, and this is the end. And I am available for your questions if there are any.